when unassisted birth does go wrong, a lot of times I feel it's, well, lack of community support and lack of support from the mate. I think it's really important to have, you know, even if you just have a couple people that can believe in you, it really helps. So David and I had been fighting, and I remember we had been watching this show, Joni Loves Chachi. I think that was it. And we got into this big argument about whether it was Chachi and I are going to the movies or Chachi and me are going to the movies. And it was like totally stupid, and I think it was just because there was all this tension building up. But we had this big blow up. So the next morning, after we had this tremendous fight, he leaves, and I was like, good, he's out of here. And I felt like now I can relax and have my baby, because there was just too much tension with him at that time in our lives. And I think in that time he was probably helping to inhibit that birth, because things just weren't right between us. And also I think it was right for me to give birth to that baby by myself, and maybe that's why that happened. So he left, and my contractions were more intense with that birth. Willie, I can honestly say I hardly had any pain at all. Joy, I had more pain. But it wasn't anything where I felt like, okay, now I'm going to call somebody up, or no, I've got to get that epidural. I felt like I could handle it. You know, and this is what I feel like. Whatever pain you do have, you can handle it. And so I took a shower, and I cried, which I hadn't done in my other births, but this one, that was what I needed to do. I said belief suggestions, that I was allowing my body to work. I got out of the shower, and those of you who read my book, my website, know that I then got a phone call from this woman at the university who wanted to order donuts, because I had a donut delivery service in my house. I ran it out of my house. And so she called up wanting to put in her donut order. And I said, well, I'm in labor. I mean, I could feel the baby was coming pretty quickly. And this woman just freaked. She was like, I have to get this donut order out. You know, who am I going to give my donut order to? She was like totally not concerned that I have a baby between my legs. So, but it was enough that it just sort of added some levity to the situation. And this is what I write about too, is laughter. Laughter in labor. You know, you have all kinds of natural resources you can tap into. You can sing your babies out. You can dance them out. You can sit down and write. Hygeia Half Moon, who did a newsletter with me for 3 years, wrote all in her journal all during her labor. Whatever it is that you like to do, paint a picture, whatever helps you relax. So the laughter just kind of helped me relax. And I just remember laughing, and I said, look, I'll call you back in a few minutes or something. So I hung up the phone, and I felt the baby come in, and I took out the little bathtub, and I got down on one knee and one foot. I straddled it, because that's what felt right to me that time. With my first one, it was hands and knees. With my second one, it was basically like this. With that one, it was different. And so I remember looking down, and now I didn't feel pain as she was coming out the way I had with John. And I remember looking down, and I saw her face, which is another thing I didn't realize until a few years ago. She was posterior. So I was once again telling the story, and somebody said, oh, she was posterior. Oh, well, I didn't know that. But she was looking up at me, whereas technically she was supposed to be facing the other direction. This could have been why I had more pain with her. I don't know. I think I just want to try everything. So I just have face presentation and foot, and posterior. And so somebody can say, well, what happens if the baby is this way? Well, I did it, let me tell you, So I looked down, and there was her face looking up at me. And there was the film. The water bag hadn't broke yet. So I saw this film over her face. And it was just beautiful, this image of looking at my baby with this film over her face. So, and this is where it always gets to me. I haven't talked about this birth in a while, but for some reason her birth was just such a powerful moment in my life. And I just looked at her, and the water bag broke over her face, and she just looked up at me, and I caught her. And it was like a defining moment in my life. I mean, I look at it really as, I don't mean to insult my other children, but for some reason it was just the most incredible moment of my life. And I just caught her, and she looked at me, and I felt like this incredible bond between she and I, that I felt like we were the only two people in the world. That's what was going through my mind. And I felt like she was the most beautiful gift I had ever received. I felt so thankful. And